Hey there, this is Jonathan, and in the following set of tutorials, we are going to take a look at some strategies for creating full WordPress websites using both the free version of Elementor as well as the pro version of Elementor. So to get started, the first thing that you need to do is go to the link that's at the bottom of the video here, and that will take you to where you can download some of the files that you're going to need later on. Now, the next thing that we need to do, of course, is install a version of WordPress. I'm installing mine on a Bluehost server, but you can do this locally or on some other type of place. Now, if you don't have one, then I would do WP WPSandbox.net. This is a really great service for you to access a free temporary install of WordPress. It's a great way to get started if you don't have any other way of doing it. Now, the next thing that you have to do as soon as you've gone through the installation is just go to our basic settings. So in general, you just want to make sure that you have a title and the person who's going to be the contact information, but skip down to where it says time zone, and we want to make sure that this is set to the time zone that you're currently at. Now, because I'm on a Bluehost server, I have an endurance cache as well, so I typically would turn this off so that I'm not caching that content. Now, under writing, you'll see that everything is basically the defaults of uncategorized and all that, and we're going to worry about that later. Under reading, we have our home page displaying our latest posts, and then we don't have any particular dedicated homepage or post page yet, which we will do later on. And then you'll see that below I've discouraged the search engines. Skip over to media, and one of the things that I like to do here is click off the uploading or organizing uploads into month and year based folders. This just makes it a little bit easier to find all your files later on. Last thing that we're going to do before we go look at our plugins is we're going to put in a custom structure. Now, the custom structure that I typically use, if you clear all that out, is category and post name. Now, one advice is to actually save your permalinks twice. There's some sort of bug that somehow makes it better when you do that. The other thing that we need to do is go to our plugins, and we are going to install a couple different plugins. Now, I've installed Ace IDE, which is, just be aware, it can be a security thing to allow anyone to edit PHP and JavaScript files and even upload and download files. But I use Ace IDE when I'm doing some just editing of themes on a live WordPress host, and so you'll see that here just a bit. Now, you do need to install Elementor as well. The WP reset, not important. The importer, you'll see that we'll get to there in just a second. Now, as soon as you install Elementor, this is the free version, what we could do is go to add new, go to Elementor, and you'll see there's a lot of different ones, and you're going for the Elementor page builder. So you go ahead and install that and activate it, and it will send you straight to this particular page, which is the getting started. Now, one of the things that I certainly suggest is that you go and find lots of resources for Elementor, because mine is not the only one out there. Now, a couple things that you definitely want to go to in settings. One of the things that I do is I turn off Elementor for posts and only leave it for pages. I also like to turn off the default colors and default fonts so that I have a little bit more control. So I'll save those changes. Now I'm going to go over to style. I'm not going to change anything here. And then over in advanced, because we are doing this on a live file right now, I tend to use internal embedding of any CSS that I have. That way it will disable the caching issue that you might get. I also really do like the SVGs, so I usually turn that on because I'm getting more and more into using SVGs in design. Now, the next thing that we have is our role manager. If you had other roles, then just be aware that you can actually not give them any access to the content. So that's really kind of nice that they have no access to the editor. And you could change those if you want. So the only one who would have access maybe to the editor might be the admin. Last thing under Tools, let's just take a look there. You'll see here's where we can regenerate some CSS. One of the things I really like about this is you can actually do maintenance mode and coming soon, which means that if you do coming soon or maintenance, I guess coming soon means that everybody will see just that coming soon page unless they're logged in. And if you're logged in, then you can see all the different pages. So just be aware there's some nice built-in functionality in even the free version of Elementor for that. Now, when it comes to looking at this site right now, you'll see that since I have a theme installed, I actually get to have a fully functional site. But that's not going to be really where we're headed. We're going to be looking towards building our own complete site. So one thing that I want to do is install a custom theme which is intentionally super simplified. So you want to download the index-only theme from the link below, and I'm going to go ahead and install that theme and show you what's a part of it. So I'm going to activate that theme. Now, in activating this theme, you'll see if I go to my theme editor, there is nothing in this theme at all. All I've got is a basic style sheet, which has some very simple styles in it. And do be aware that you need the information here at the top in that style sheet. And then I have a simple index file. And in this index file, I do some very light HTML output, and it does have some WordPress hooks here and there. The most important one, though, is the WP_head function. That's really essential for it to work. The other thing that is absolutely required is to have some sort of WordPress loop where you say if have post, while have post, get the post, and then you get the content. This works for both a single page of content or a blog page where you're getting lots and lots of different ones. And then we'll fiddle with that later on. And the last thing that we need right here is the WP_footer function. Now, I also have a functions file. And the functions file has some really nice, useful functions that you do want to have a part of pretty much any theme. The first one is enqueuing scripts. I just wanted to put the WP in queue scripts because that's how you enqueue both CSS styles as well as JavaScripts. So you need to look up enqueuing scripts. Then I'm also registering my nav menus for a main menu and a footer menu. And then I'm adding support for sidebar widgets as well and creating one called sidebar. Then I'm also adding support for featured images, otherwise known as post thumbnails, and I'm adding 2 custom sizes. Now we want to have this theme installed with our custom sizes before we start uploading media into our media directory, because otherwise it won't automatically generate the sizes that we're requesting. We can use something like regenerate thumbnails and do that after the fact, though. The last couple things I have here are a short code that does just a simple page title output, and then another short code to get the value of a custom field, which I hope we will look at a little bit later in the tutorials. Now, if I go and look at my site, you'll see this pretty much has nothing. There is basically nothing in this site at all. Now, one of the things that we do need to do, of course, is add some content. So we're going to go to our Tools, Import, and we're going to run the WordPress Importer. We might have to install it first. And I want you to go ahead and download the XML file for the demo content ipsums and upload that file and import it. Now, you typically need to create either create a user or apply it to a user. So I have a couple different users in there. And then you want to download and import the file attachments. And it's going to go pretty quick because usually what slows this down is when you're downloading a lot of images. But since if I look at my media files, I only have 2 images, it goes pretty quick. Now, looking at my posts, you'll see that I have a number of posts and I have a number of different categories as well. And then I also have some news posts as well. So I have two different categories, and then I have a bunch of different tags. And you'll see that those categories also imported here. Now we still have the uncategorized, and that's because the first post that we already had, which was Hello World, was already marked as uncategorized. And so this just added the new blogs instead of deleted what was there. Now we kind of have the same thing with our pages. You'll see that we have a number of different pages that were created when we imported that, and they all have a little bit of content as well. Now, if I look under Appearance, you'll see that we have menus. So we have a menu already set up with a number of different pages, as well as a blog and some news and Ipsums pages, and then also a category. And this, by the way, is a category archive page. And so we'll address that at a later time. Now, since I do have my main menu installed, or my theme installed, I can go ahead and assign that to the main menu, although we're not going to see any output of that yet. You'll see that we won't have a whole lot in our theme editor. In Customize, you'll see we get fairly little in our Customize, just the general things like site identity, menus, widgets, homepage settings. We don't really get that much because we don't have any kind of crazy theme installed. Now under widgets, you'll see, it hasn't defined the widget area, so let's see real quick. Under widgets, I should have a sidebar, so that is showing up. I'm not sure why it didn't show up in the customizer. Anyway, this basically takes us to where we're going to be going next, which is we now have a very, very, very simple website. And the next video, we're going to start looking at creating custom headers and footers. I should do one thing in my settings, though, before I do that, and that is that typically I want to take my static page, make it the home page, and then make my blog archive the posts page. Now you'll see that we should have this the front page, and then we can jump over to the blog page if we need. And now we will stop and we will go on to the next tutorial.